Testing. There we are. Back on. All right. Hello and welcome to Chewing the Fat. Thank you for bearing with me with the technical difficulties. This lets you know that we are live. We are live. We are live. This is your host, the Queen. And of course, you have joined me on Chewing the Fat, where we are on Intellectual Radio. We are on YouTube, Spreaker, and what else are we vibing on? I guess I may have hit all the points here, but I'm glad that you joined us today. We are going to be talking about goals. Why do our engines just kind of start slowing down like we need a new oil change? I don't know. Can you tell me why we do that? We start at the beginning of the year, or we start somewhere in the middle, and we start saying that we're going to do these things, we're going to set these goals, and all of a sudden we just start to slow down like a turtle. Why is that? Why do we have that problem? And a lot of times it's because we set our goals way too high. Hi, Miracle. How are you? And of course, this was a Miracle's topic. She asked me to please talk about this topic because it was one that she wanted to have talked about on air. And I told you, I am a person that looks for the people's choice. And if you ask me to do something, I will try my best to research it and bring up some topics. So we are about to chew chump and swallow on this topic about goal setting. So, with this goal setting, I want to talk about one of the biggest reasons that we fall behind is because we set these goals way too high, meaning there are long-term and short-term goals. Oh, and a miracle is saying we're not motivated enough. That's true, but we're going to talk about long-term and short-term goals. We have to know how to set goals. Look, if I am going to pursue something professionally, I have a if I want a certification, we know that that falls under a short-term goal. But if I want a degree, normally you have to put a few years in to get your degree. So that means that should fall under the long term. You can't say that I am going to have my bachelor's degree and that's a short term. That's not a short term goal. That is considered a long term goal because you have to put the time behind that. And once you put the time in there, then you're able to say, I've set a realistic goal for myself. Setting realistic goals is number one, it's key to the process. And stop looking at other people and expecting the same results for you. You don't understand how and when they had to put themselves at that position. You don't know how long they've been doing it. They may have been quiet doing these things, and you're just looking at them thinking they got it overnight when that may not have been the case. We have to understand patience is something that we have to carry over. We can't rush into things. If we're rushing into them, we'll never get there because we're going to miss something. Distractions will come. There are going to be people, places, and things that distract us because we're not focusing on our goal. And we have to set these goals where we're able to bullet point and plan out our things. If we're not planning effectively, then we are going to get lost in the process. Sometimes we, in this millennial um, state that we're in, a sense of urgency is with us. We have to have it now. We have to do it now. I have to see it now. But we have to understand, we have to push that thought away. We have to stop that thought process. We can't always have it right now. Things take time to obtain. When we understand that, we'll get better at our planning. Pick things out that we can do at a 3 month and 6 month interval. Once we are able to do that, then we can hit and chomp at the things that are long term. I don't know if you all, and I'm sure if you all have all heard this term before. How do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. We can never swallow the whole horse or the whole elephant. Just thinking about the beef that we eat. we'll never swallow that whole cow. So it goes to the butcher shop, and they cut it in different pieces. And we're able to devour the steak. We're able to have the ground beef. The ground chuck. It's made up of different types of pieces of meat that we're able to have. The beef neck bones, all of those different pieces. So we break down that cow so that we're able to eat it. So those are our short-term pieces. We have to understand we can't just take it all in at one time. It is a step-by-step process. The kind of self-motivation, this is what a miracle was just talking about. Some people are not motivated enough. Some people are just, they sit there and think that something is going to come to them. You have to be self-motivated. You have to have a goal-getting spirit. You have to be able to know they're not going to knock on your door. You may have to knock on their door. You have to build your brand. You have to build and do your marketing. I don't care whatever it is. If you're working for someone else, you have to be self-motivated to move up the ladder. Whatever goal you're setting, whether it's a weight loss, be it I have to be a better parent. How can I go about doing these things? Whatever the situation is, it's all in your planning. Everyone, okay, I'm reading another comment. Everyone should make a vision board, a short term, medium term, and longer. Right, a midterm is what it is. Short term, midterm, and long term. Those things get you where you need to be. And I think vision boards and vision diaries and journals and all of the different visual techniques are great to have in front of you so that you're able to move right along with yourself. If you have it in your face, more than likely you will be able to see it, visualize it, and execute it. If you're seeing it, it motivates you. The kind of self-motivation may work in short term, but it is fundamentally self-destructive and propelled you into fear and anxiety if you don't get there. Sometimes it pushes you into anxiety if you don't get right away. And this is why sometimes you have to step back away from it. So I'm telling you to use a visual aid, but if you don't get there at the set time, don't have anxiety. Don't be upset. I tell this story all the time about when I was about 29. I set a goal as a young lady, as I was pushing myself toward professional goals and things that I wanted to have in my life. By the time I was 30, I wanted to be a homeowner. I wanted to have a few properties. I wanted things to happen. And I remember when I turned 29 and I started weeping, and I told my husband, he was like, "What's wrong?" I said, by the age 30, I wanted to have my home and I wanted to have this. And he smiled at me. He chuckled. He said, "Okay, well, by 30, you'll have that." And by golly, by 30, I had that. And the other properties and things like that begin to come. But when you set goals, you're able to see things. But listen to what I said, what slipped up on me, the anxiety, because I said it, I started to panic. What I needed to know was I didn't have to panic if I didn't get it at age 30, but if I got it at 31 or 32, because I still projected to have it, I still will have it and work toward it. So working towards your goal is what counts. Not that I didn't get it by age 30, Ashonda, but if I got it at age 31 or 32, I still met my goal. Meeting your goal is what's most important, not at the set target date is not the thing, but meeting it is the point that needs to be made. And that's what we need to see. But we should always have a target point. Hey, Latrice, I'm glad you joined me. Hey, Josette, I love you. So that's what we always have to understand. Hey, Sister Janice, I see you join me, and Sister Shakita, thank you for joining. Doing something because you're afraid of failure or falling behind, it's not a solid foundation for our ambitions to run the long race. We can't have things that hold us back, strings that tie us back. When we project something, it becomes a competition. So we are in competition with ourselves and no one else, just with ourselves, because we set this projection. So we have to slow down and remember we set this projection, but because we're falling behind with the projection does not mean that we are a failure. It just means that we fell behind, but we still have to focus and we'll still get there. And that's what we need to remember. We will still get there. We will still get there. So don't give up. So we spend a lot of time in that way. Take a few days, take a week, and sit back and reevaluate in your plan where it went wrong at, or where we're slowing down at, or what's holding us back, or what we need to do so that we can get to our goals. We're human. Things happen to set us back. Things in life that we didn't project could happen. What may happen, there you can be ill, someone else can be ill, death happens, financial blind uh, knockouts happen. We get blindsided by financial situations. We may be laid off at that particular job. We don't know, but we project these things and something could happen in between it. It does not mean that we won't get there. It just means we need to regroup. We just need to regroup. um we have to stay optimistic about our goals, our visions, and our dreams. We always have to stay optimistic about it. If we don't, it gets the best of us. It gets the best of us. Always stay motivated about what we're doing, what our vision is telling us. Another thing I want to share with you guys, and I'm going to come back to this, is that when we look over our goals, are these the goals that we're actually setting for ourselves, or are we trying to set goals that other people have placed on us? Are we people pleasing, or are we actually fulfilling something that is in our vision? Sometimes we take upon other people's visions for ourselves and we try to live off of their vision or their expectation, and it's not ours. It's not ours. What do we do with that? What do we do with that? What do we say to that? How do we cope with that? How do we cope with that? We have to then reevaluate again. Is this my dream or someone else's? Does this fit me? Will I be happy in 10 years or 20 years? Will I be going back trying to find another career choice because this really was not my dream in the first place? We can take on tasks that are really not our dreams, not our career choices. We're living up to parents' expectations, our intimate partners' expectations, just to make someone else happy. But in the end, we're living unhappy because we're fulfilling someone else's vision. Another thing about how we fall behind in our with being motivated is that we take on too many hats. We're busy everywhere. It's okay that you are a renaissance person, but when you're trying to build a vision, you can't have all of your visions in a pot. I want to be a real estate agent. I want to be a beautician. I want to own a boutique. I want to open up a restaurant. Focus. I'm not saying that you can't obtain these things, but when you're opening in 8 businesses at one time, how can you focus on all of them? And you're a one-man show. Something is going to fail. Something is going to fall behind. How can you effectively run that company? How can you? It's almost nearly impossible to effectively run that company. When you really want to stay motivated, You can't be burned out. That's a killer. That's a killer within itself. Burnout syndrome. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And you don't understand how you got into that place. When you're wearing nine hats, and no one can tell you to slow down because you're going to continue to say, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to go here, no one else. And then you won't delegate because you have to be in control of everything. It's a control issue. Don't allow yourself to be your own destruction because you have to do everything. Your hands have to be in everything. Your name have to be on everything. Focus on one aspect of your personal or professional goal. Once you are mastering that professional or personal goal, or have mastered it, then you can move on to the next goal and start chomping at it effectively. But when you're there with 9 things on your plate, 9, it's almost impossible to keep them effectively running without any hiccups, without something closing down, without you faltering in your personal life, without someone being neglected, without your home being neglected, without your professional life being almost sabotaged, deadline dates being missed, editing problems. It just simple things that pile up to be huge mountains in your life. These are the things that you want to avoid. Burnout, professional and personal burnout. They can completely destroy your personal and professional being. Staying motivated to your goals is one of the, I want to say, I, I want to say it's one of the top 10 things that people go through. Everyone want to know how can they reach their goals? How can they fulfill their purpose? How can they reach their destiny? What is my purpose? What is my destiny? How can I stay motivated? By first finding out what is your actual purpose. You can't stay motivated if you don't know your real purpose. You're choosing other people's purposes and tasks. You're looking at what somebody else is doing and think, oh, I can do that. Oh, she's a bartender. I could be a bartender. Oh, she's a hairdresser. I think I can do hair, but you've never done hair in your life. Be realistic with yourself. That's one thing that we don't do. We are not realistic about our skill set. You say, I want to be a receptionist or data bank receptionist or executive receptionist, but you don't know nothing about Excel. You don't know how to use a computer. You don't know anything about being an executive assistant, but yet you want that position. You want to be an engineer, but you don't know anything about being an engineer. You don't know how to fix a cooling system. You wouldn't know how to fix the water boiler if it break down. You wouldn't know any of these things. I want to drive a truck, but you won't go to the classes to get your CDL license. See, you have to be realistic when you're setting your goals. You have to be. I say this all the time. I would go to a lot of meetings, a lot of rallies, sit in rooms with Lisa Madigan, Mike Madigan, Mayor Daley. I mean, just hierarchies. And we are having these meetings and I'm sitting down with them and I am really making changes for the community. And I am going, when I tell you I've done this research, so I am very combative with them at the moment. And I'm going over what they have in their city codes and things of that nature. And I'm telling them and combative with them. So they want to know, who am I? What's my position? What's my title? What's this? So it was very important that I went in, because what I was doing was gathering information, surveying, talking to my people, and getting the temperature of my community, allowing them in a psychological and a sociology way of how my people and groups of people are being affected in our community. What they're doing now, in 2008, I had already began to implement. I had already began to ask them to have their policemen in cultural classes, to begin to know who our people are. They needed to know how to deal with our community in a way that it wasn't threatening to them. If they clutch their pants, maybe they're clutching their pants because they don't have a belt. Why did they run? Because maybe they have been, they felt terrorized by the police for so long. It's a natural reaction for African Americans and Latino Americans to run. It was a natural reaction. It was nothing that they were hiding sometimes, but it was a natural reaction. So to go in and get the temperature of a community was very important. To have beat officers back on the street again, I asked them, what happened to officer friendly? What happened to that? Why do we feel more intimidated than protected? So I had to ask those questions. Why did I want OPS dismantled? Because they weren't being the policemen of drug enforcement, but they were putting packs on our people. So when you're doing research, when you're going in, when I was motivated, I had to go and be a community psychologist, a family psychologist. I had to do my research, but I knew I had a long-term goal that I had to set for myself, because that was something that I needed to do. So when they began to ask me later on, who are you? I'm Dr. Harris. And this is blah, blah. So when these, and you see how humble I never, ever use a title. On my Facebook page, I never use a title. But for reasons and for certain people, when they want to ask you a title because they feel like, well, what do you know? How does this research, how can you gather research? You don't know how to get statistical numbers. You don't know how. But when you know how to do your job, then they can't really challenge you. Then your statistical numbers line up. Then the documentaries and the testimonial things that you've gathered from a community lines up. Then you can't dispute what is actually here. So that's what I want you to be able to do. When you find out your purpose, you cannot dwindle in your motivation, because you're going to be working from your pure heart. You are going to stay motivated because you are motivated, because guess what fuels your motivation? Your passion. That's what fuels your motivation. Whatever you are passionate about, you are going to go not 100, not 1,000. You're going 10,000, 1,000,000 times harder for what you believe in and what you love. So it's so hard for your engine to fall. Another reason why we're not motivated enough is because we are around negative people who do not believe in you, in your dreams, in what you are envisioning, and what you are captivating. And I'm going to say this to you: close your mouth, because everyone is not there to see your dream come true. So that's the biggest thing, to plug your pipe up and your motivation. How can your engine run in that direction? I don't know if you all remember, what was that? Beverly Hills Cop. And when he put the banana in the tailpipe and he said, who put the banana in the tailpipe? That's what they do to you. They put the banana in the tailpipe. And so they clog it up so your exhaust and your engine can't move. You can't move because now they have a banana in your tailpipe. You can't go anywhere because they don't want you to go anywhere because they haven't figured out where their destiny and purpose lie. But you have. So the people around you are trying to stop your passion for your motivation. Be careful who you are around because they will pluck pieces of your motivation away from you and you wouldn't even understand it. They are energy zappers. Energy zappers. You have to be careful. Thank you, Donald. You always have to surround yourself with company who have goals and motivations. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct, Miracle. Your circle is absolutely important. Your circle is the people who are passionate about their goals, their aspirations. They're always moving in a positive light. And they're not energy zappers. They're not energy zappers, but they're the very opposite because their energy is so high and so strong. Everybody energy in that room kind of make the surge even higher. And so what you're doing now, you're feeding off each other's energy. And the same when you're with energy zappers. If their energy is low and they're out here don't have any motivation, not doing anything, guess what they're doing? The energy zappers are bringing your energy level down. So when you're in the room with somebody who has the energy, stay in that circle. But if you're in that circle when everybody complaining, don't have a clue where they're going, don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're saying, they will zap you every time. They will take your energy and pull from you every time. Every time. And there is no way out of them. On here it says, you're thinking too big. I'm going to say the opposite. You can think as large as you want to. You can think as big as you like. But what I want you to do is know how to set it in the right perspective. You would know that that's a long-term, what's a long-term goal and what's a short-term goal. I'm going to go back to that. So everything that I gather, I don't always have to agree with, but I can place it in another place. And this is Hoffman Post. And so I'm reading from Hoffman Post, but I also am using me and using myself and the experience and also the knowledge that I've gathered along the way and what works for me and what I've taught and given to other clients and have effectively worked for them. And I watch their success. And some of them are now on my professional Purposeful Life page, and they, show the progress of their sessions, and they're on my personal page. And so I love to watch and see the progress of their businesses and their personal life thriving because of the sessions. And these sessions are not the psychological sessions, but these are the life coach sessions. And they have been doing awesome. Businesses are thriving. But this is why I can kind of do a contrast with what they're saying for some of the experiences that I've had. So it says to ground yourself. And I totally agree with that. You have to ground yourself and mark the milestones. I totally agree with that. There's two major ways and major accomplishments. Smaller goals are heaps and more attainable and day by day. So meaning your smaller goals. You take those things, you track your progress, you take small things. I'm going to go to this session. I'm going to go to workshops. Workshops happen all the time. You go on Eventbrite, you want to go to this workshop. This workshop would be great. I'm going to take this workshop on how to, I had to do accounting classes, how to, Eventbrite can have classes on goal setting, how, all of these different things that we're talking about. how to parenting classes. Just all it's Eventbrite have everything. Any class that you want to have, small businesses classes, they give you certifications. Anything that you want is obtainable on Eventbrite, and small fees or no, or no fee at all. Um, it helps if you create a chart of aspects, what you haven't started, what you're working on, what you need to improve, and what you've already finished. Check that thing off. Make bullet points, make a checklist, start it. You can create this on your own. Get your word out, get your journal pad out, start writing things, what you haven't started, what you're working on, need to improve, and have already finished. I'm going to say again, what you haven't started, what you're working on, what you need to improve, and what you already finished. A project becomes much more manageable when it's scaled down. You have to scale it down. If it's scattered everywhere, if it's placed and looks too busy, your brain is going to get tangled. It's going to get tangled. It's just that simple. And the periods of inactivity, um, it kind of gets you down, like when you don't have clients coming in, or in your personal life you're not moving around. You have this kind of dead drop zone. You have this drop zone and you're not feeling it. um, this is a major one, and particularly for those who are caught in that urgency stage again. Don't worry about the productivity. I'm talking too fast. The productivity. Don't worry about that. It happens. Sometimes businesses and your personal life is moving, shaking. You can't sit down. And sometimes there may be a spot where it's a dead zone. It's slow. But see, in this process, when you're moving fast and things are moving, this is your saving zone. I tell people all the time, this is the time that you save. You put the nest egg away. You begin to save. So when you have the slow moments, you still have your nest egg put away where you're able to pay your bills. You know, in accounting and any type of sense of saving classes, they always tell you to have a half a year of money kind of tucked away. So if anything happened or an emergency happened, hey Jody, emergency happened, you're able to pay your bills. At least a month and a half of rent put up for every 3 months. So those type of things. I know a lot of people say that's unrealistic, but just say for instance, if you get paid every month, just say you get $1,200 every 2 weeks. Take 200 and put up. Pay your bills with the rest. Just put the 200 up in the savings. Don't touch it. Act like it doesn't exist. And every time you get paid, you do the same thing. When an emergency happens, guess what you can do? Go and take care of your business. And you don't have to worry about anything. We have to learn how to keep our hands closed, because guess what? Now you're long-term planning for your emergency. You see how long-term go? But your short-term is, with the other 1,000, is to pay your bills in your house. That's how your personal life works. Or your professional life. If you're paying the bills at the businesses, you're taking care of whatever you need to take care of. These are the things. And I set the low bar for 1,200. Some of us make more than that. But I'm just saying how you can take out. And okay, I can't afford to take 200 out. Take out 50. Take out 100 if you can. But take something out every month for that case of emergency. Um, Another thing I want to say is, you're tackling everything. Oh, I told you that you're tackling everything by yourself. You have to learn to delegate. Delegation is the best thing in your life. I learned that about 5 years ago, honestly. 5 years ago, I learned that. And that's a late bloomer. That's a late bloomer, because I always felt like I had to do it, because if I didn't do it, it won't be done right. And if I didn't execute it, they won't put it right. And I have to make sure this get done. If I don't fix the food and then decorate the place and then make sure all the calls get made, that's too much for one person. If you have a team, If you don't have a team, make a team. You have people that love you, that wouldn't even mind helping you. Go out and reach out to them. And then give assigned tasks. See how short-term work? Assign the task to the individuals that don't mind helping you, and the job will get done. But don't be afraid to relinquish the power out of your hand. Some of us are too power hungry, and some of us just don't know how to release the power because you're afraid that it won't be executed. Stop living in the fear. I was the one that was afraid. I was afraid to release it because I was afraid it wasn't going to be done the way that I needed it to be done. And once I released it, sometimes it was even better than what I was going to do or what I could even imagine. So I that was one of the best lessons for myself that I could have ever given me. One of the best gifts of learning to delegate, allowing myself to delegate. We're thinking too much. We're overthinking it. We are overthinking it. That's one of the reasons why we get burned out. Our motivation is just popped. We're overthinking it. We're overanalyzing it. And I catch myself all the time with that. I'm overthinking it. I'm overthinking it. Stop thinking about all of this other stuff, and your wheels will be turning at night. Your wheels will be turning. You can't even sleep because your wheels are continuously moving. You are putting yourself in a myriad of expectations. Just putting yourself this. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to go by that. I have to make sure I pay out this. I need to grab this. The what could go wrongs. Just everything. The what ifs. The what nots. You have to pull back. Overthinking it. Overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. You're going to have anxiety when it's all said and done. You'll have anxiety when it's all over with. And you're putting your own self in the anxiety. Learn to let go and learn to just execute what needs to be executed, because you are going to pull yourself in a web of unnecessary doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, and you won't get anything executed. The best way that you can stay motivated is by, again, planning out what your short-term and long-term goals are. Surrounding yourself, again, with a positive circle. Stay away from energy drainers, people that tap into you, or people who really not tapping into you, but just draining you. Because guess who's not happy? Because they have not found their purpose and passion. Learn what it is that you need to do for you. Having visuals, if it worked for you, use it. If it's stressing you, lose it. If it's not going to help you, lose it. Get your quotes together, affirmations together, post those around your mirrors. Who are you? What motivates you? What keeps you ticking? What keeps you pushing and striving? When I see myself getting too laxed, I make sure I find myself getting lax. I jump right up. I get my scheduler. I have a book. What I keep one in my office and one at my nightstand. And I get that book, and that book is what I begin to plan my events with, what needs to be done next, and far as clients, what I have to do to market and continue branding who I am, what out of state conferences I need to speak at or be at, the contacts that I need to make. Hey, April, the contacts I need to make. I did it last, was it week before last, reached out to a contact. Now I'm speaking in Nevada, Las Vegas, in October. So all of these different things. So you have to, when you find yourself getting too lax, you have to tap back into you and say, hey, what's wrong with you? and snap yourself out of it and remember who you are. One Exquisite Creations is always in the house. I appreciate you, April. This is another young lady can tell you and show you how to be creative, motivated, and stay motivated. She has a boutique. And what she does, she throw pop-up shops, flash sales, 40% off this day, showing different things for men. She started out with ladies attire, then she dropped in men ties and very unique ties. One Exquisite you should be coming onto the show in September. This is Fashion Week. So September will be Fashion Week for Chewing the Fat. So that entire month will be Fashion Week for us as well. So we will have boutiques. I want male and female boutiques. So we will have Fashion Month, the month of September. I want to showcase talents of Chicago right here on Chewing the Fat. So we're going to get it. We have a nice room out here where we can set up a runway for the week. See how I stay motivated, because I want to create something for you all. I want you all to stay motivated. I know you'll be here, April. You always in the house. I know One Exquisite will be in the house, and I want it to be so. Each week will be set out for to showcase a designer, a boutique designer. So I want you guys to come out and be ready, be motivated, and be ready to show your pieces for this fall's look. And that's motivating me. So we have to stay sharp. Intellectual radio motivates me to get up every Thursday to think of something fresh. So this is what I'm saying. We have to stay fresh. A pop-up fashion show. Exactly. That's it, April. We're going to have a pop-up fashion show. So you want to come in. We don't even have a 4 o'clock show. So you have that hour to shop and get out, because we have a show coming in. You have from 3 to, I say, 4:45, and the show have to be closed because we have another show running. So I'll talk to the producers here and the executive producers here. I'll see how we can do that for our airtime, and we can do that. But we have to stay motivated. You have to stay creative. If you want to stay motivated, you have to stay creative. You have to think of new things. When your wheels are turning, don't just let it turn with busy stuff, but turn with creative stuff, creative things. Don't have a scatterbrain. If you stay scattered, you will have burnout. You're not going to stay motivated. You have to write things down and allow it to make sense for your personal life and your business life. Now, we're about to get out of here. If you have any further questions, you have to inbox us on the Intellectual Radio Chewing the Fat, where I'm about to try to change that Intellectual Radio heading. So you're going to see some movement from my page. Don't get excited. I'm just moving the title. It shouldn't be headed Intellectual Radio. It should be headed Chewing the Fat. So you know what I'm going to say. Oh, what is it, April? And learn to take the time to relax. Please, because that's the big burnout. Relax. Find some time to breathe. Find time to breathe, because if you don't stay motivated. That's part of our burnout. Burnout is the biggest way to not stay motivated. To not stay motivated. So at this time, you know what I'm going to say to you guys. And I want you to say it with me. Say it wherever you are, work, home, car, wherever you're viewing or hearing me at. Live life on purpose. Live life with purpose. For without purpose, what's the reason? I don't know. Mwah, smooches from the Queen. Love you guys. Next Thursday.